Welcome back, Syndicate members. It is I, Joshua Mammoth, back once again with another independent comic book review. And of course, the queen of the indie scene, Rachel, is joining me tonight. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. So before we get started on tonight's pick, I just had to do a couple of shout-outs here. The first one is to Roland Mann. You might remember him from Bear, and then also from the interview that we did at the Daytona Comic-Con a couple months ago. He was an awesome guy.
He really was.
Anyways, he sent me a couple of pages from the Bear script, from Bear number 1 that we reviewed, and that was really interesting.
It really was. I love seeing the behind the scenes of it all.
And very detailed, too. It was the boys' room scene.
Yes.
So it was, it had very specific notes in there. And I think Haley really nailed that.
Really did. And yeah, because that was one of my favorite pages in the book. So it really was awesome to see.
And it was a full 2-page spread.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
Loved it.
The other shout out I need to do tonight is to Luis Diaz. So we popped into Blackbird just to pick up a few supplies, and I noticed on the indie shelf that Luis just released Video Gaga Volume 2. And so I can't wait to get into this one.
So excited about this one.
So I picked up 2.
We did.
Because, well, I like to support Luis and his endeavors, and I love Video Witch. And I wanted, we always gift a copy to somebody, so I suggest people go into Blackbird and pick theirs up. There's only a few left, so make sure you get in there and let them know Joshua Mammoth sent you.
This one's cool too, though, because there's like a special little bonus in the back here.
And you actually saw that. I didn't see it because I was looking at it. I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And you're like, hey, there's one on the back.
Yes.
I flipped over and said, oh, wow.
Looks awesome. Super excited.
Yeah, so I really can't wait to get into this. And the picture on this, it has me already.
Oh, always does.
All right, Syndicate members. So tonight we're going to Ancient City Con.
Yes.
And at Ancient City Con, we met writer C. Matthew Foote, and he introduced us to the Vigis.
Yeah, so he explained all that in the interview and everything that we did with him, which was awesome. But yeah, we got to dive in tonight, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was one of my favorites, definitely. And so, Trevor, go ahead and put the cover up here. So this one was written by C. Matthew Foote, as I just mentioned, and then the art is by Ryan English. And I love this cover.
Oh, it was amazing. The gray with the pink, it was awesome. And it was such a cool background because you could see the wanted posters of the different people. And it was just so much detail, and I loved how they looked.
And so, actually, speaking of the characters here, so I put on my Charlie cosplay here tonight to be a bit festive. But we have Charlie as the leader of this team. We also have Bone, that's the chick on the side here. Spaz, he's the guy with the skateboard. And then Teddy Bear Tuck.
My favorite.
And he's the big guy in the back there. I also want to point out that the back of this comic.
I know, it's almost like you got 2 covers in one. It was amazing because the back was just as good as the front.
I really like this back cover. Yeah, this was really, really cool. I caught myself kind of staring at it for a few minutes.
Well, yeah, because I didn't even realize at first it was like the skyline of a city, and I was like, oh, that's so creative.
Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay, so you ready to dive into this biscuit?
Yes.
So the first few pages, it's kind of like an origin story of Charlie. I guess not a full origin story, but kind of his origin story of his relationship with this cop that he meets.
Yes, so it starts 2 years in the past from where they're presently at. And it looks like, just a basic warehouse, 2 cops just kind of roll up. And it looks like they're investigating an alarm that was hit. So they're like, oh, okay, this is a basic thing, no big deal. Some kids are, messing around.
And it seems like this is an area of town where there's a lot of abandoned warehouses.
Yeah.
So there's probably just, minor break-ins or, kids going in to do something. Or maybe John Kramer setting up a trap there. Okay.
Let's hope not. But no, so they're expecting no big deal. So they go in and, of course they're kind of looking around, well, then they hear something, and then out pops this guy with this crazy machine gun. And he just starts opening fire.
And that was very unexpected because the cops obviously think this is just going to be something very minor.
Right.
And then this machine gun guy just comes out and just starts unloading on them.
But what's kind of crazy is it seems that someone is watching them. It seems like this teen is like watching from a building, like kind of next door almost, and he is like kind of excited. He's like, "Oh, great! I was kind of bored." There's some excitement.
He does seem excited, and we're about to find out exactly why.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we find out on the next page that one of the cops was hit. Looks like a partner Martinez. He definitely got hit with a couple bullets there.
Yeah, he had some lead for lunch.
Yeah, that's not what you want. But his partner is definitely holding his own. He's, kind of returning fire, and he's trying to do his best he can. He actually hits a couple of them.
Yeah, this cop actually, he has some brass balls.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he doesn't lose his cool under fire, even though his partner has already taken some shots.
Yeah, and he's probably like, okay, I'm in it by myself at this point. But yeah, he's definitely holding his own, and it's awesome the different detail that they show with this with this page here, because it shows like an overview of them, like doing kind of the battle. It's really cool.
The black and white really helps with that too.
It does.
It gives it kind of a grittier edge to it.
I agree.
And it really just makes it just a little bit more on the creepy side too.
It does. Well, he does almost like that dot art, which is really amazing with this. I haven't seen that. Yeah.
So basically, as he's returning fire, they do end up just sheer numbers, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the poor guy's outnumbered, and it seems like one of the bad guy kind of circles around and kind of gets behind the cop and gets a gun to his head. And so the cop's like, okay, well, you know what, I'm here, but he still kind of keeps his cool.
He does. He doesn't beg or anything. He's just like, all right, I guess.
Got his hands behind his head. And he's like, all right, here we are. And that's when we get to meet the first head villain, if you will, or the head bad guy, I guess I should say. And his name is Silk.
Silk, yeah.
What a name.
Now, you say bad guy, but he might just be an entrepreneur, though. We don't know what was going on in that building before.
The alleged bad guy.
Yeah, there you go.
So we meet the alleged bad guy, Silk, here, and he starts questioning the cop, and he's like, hey, are you even a cop? Did you, who told you to come here? And he's like, guy, you tripped the alarm. What are you even doing?
I thought that was interesting that Silk didn't even realize that cops would even care about that area.
Well, I think he was more surprised that there was a silent alarm that was tripped. That he kind of was expecting it to be kind of clear. So that kind of was kind of weird how he alluded that.
That's true, because he was asking who the cop worked for.
Right. And the cop's like, what are you talking about? I'm a cop. Like, this is it. So Silk is like, okay, well, then I'm done with you, and tells his little goons, like, okay, take care of business here. Well, just as that happens, then a crash happens through the window, and that teen that we saw in the beginning crashes through and jumps on the biggest goon there is.
Hey, you gotta risk it to get the biscuit.
Man, talk about the biggest balls of them all.
Yeah, because he came through the window, and actually I love this shot too, Trevor.
Oh, amazing page.
I love this shot too because it just looks so freaking cool. With Charlie we learned his name is Charlie, but with Charlie coming down. And yeah, he takes the biggest guy out first, which I'm told that's the best way to do it.
Well, I mean, I guess it would be. I mean, that's the biggest threat, so that'd be the best way to start.
Definitely.
But yeah, so this gives the cop actually a great opportunity to grab his gun, and he actually shoots, and he does some pretty good damage.
Is this when he gets Silk in the eye, right?
Yes, so he's able to get the bad guy in the eye, so I mean, great shot. I mean, how else is that going to happen? And he's able to call for help, which is even better.
And, I do find it odd, though, that Silk survived this shot to the eye.
I know. I mean, what kind of bullet is that?
I mean, he literally, threw some dirt on it and got back in the game.
I know. He literally just put, a bandage on that thing. It was great. I'm like, wow. Maybe it wasn't... No, I mean, it's a bullet. It's not a... hurt. It's a good question. But, so... he's just kind of holding his eye and moving on. But
and he's having his buddies like get the crates out,
right? He's
whatever
like,
it is
look,
that they're there for.
We gotta go. Like, obviously stuff's going down. We gotta get out of here. And the kid's like, oh my God, they're getting away. We gotta go after him. And the cop is like, no, what are you doing? And he goes and grabs him. And good thing he does, because at that time, Silk fires a shot.
And so that's what I really like about this. So the origin story is really between Charlie and Mike. Mike is the officer. And like, this is, I think, kind of the start of their relationship, because Charlie has a very negative thought on cops and actually heroes in general.
Right. Well, because he thinks they don't care about that area in general.
Right. But then, when Mike saves his life here, I think he starts thinking, at least for Mike's sake.
Right. Like, okay, there might be one good cop out
exactly.
there.
So, Mike takes a bullet to the arm, but the bullet would have hit him somewhere in here, right?
I mean, I think it would have killed him instantly.
Yeah, it probably would have been a kill shot.
But luckily, it doesn't kill him, so that's awesome. But then we go to the next scene where it looks like Silk is, again, they're just loading stuff up, and he definitely realizes that the guy Marco, who I guess hired them to get these crates, definitely set him up, because there would not have been an alarms if not. So that's kind of good that we're going to know that there's been kind of some double dealings.
Definitely. So why did Marco want Silk to be taken out?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we see the cop and Charlie are just kind of going back and forth, and they're arguing. And he's like, oh, why'd you save me? Shouldn't have done that. And the cop's like, I just saved you. What are you doing?
They kind of saved each other.
They really did.
So I don't think that's a good argument for either one of them to try to make a point on.
Oh, I agree.
But so it gets a little emotional for the cop, and then he kind of mistakenly calls him Sean, which is his son's name.
Right, because the teen's like, Sean? Her name's not Sean. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, you just remind me so much of my son, because apparently he's kind of not a hothead, but, kind of a jump, before you think kind of guy.
We call it seat of the pants.
Excuse me. But yeah, so he, tells him about his son, and he just thinks about like that. But yeah, again, it just seems like Charlie has a chip on his shoulder, and he really just like, well, you really don't care. Nobody cares about this area. If I don't do something, no one will, kind of thing.
But some people do feel that way.
And that's true. But so finally, backup finally arrives, which I'm like, man, that took long enough. That poor other cop is going to die. But they finally get him help, and the teen's like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm gonna get out.
But not before the officer says, hey, if you're ever in a bind or you're ever alone, you give me a call.
And that's really nice. Yeah, because again, I think he really thought of him as like his son. So
yeah.
He's like, oh.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they were kind of like having at least a little bit of a trust bond there.
I agree. Well, then it jumps to 2 years in the future, and it comes to a very Criminal Minds type of scene.
Yeah, it is like kind of an awkward. Criminal Minds is a good way to say that.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this is...
Yeah, because it's a guy strapped to a chair, and then another guy with what appears to be dental or medical type
Right,
devices.
You see like these whole tray of different tools, and you just never want to see that. But yeah, so it seems like this poor guy is going to be tortured, and then all of a sudden you see the group of teens from the cover of the book, and they just are running through the alleys, and it seems like they're actually trying to elude the cops.
And here's what I really loved about these particular pages. The narration boxes are actually from the mind of Charlie. It's from the aspect of Charlie. Mm-hmm. So, he's letting you know, oh, we trained for this, we're prepared.
Well, that was the clever thing about it, is you got to see the actual dialogue going on with the circle little boxes. But then there was actual square boxes of the internal dialogue, and I thought that was really cool of how they distinguished that.
Yeah, and then so you had your regular narration boxes, which are white, and then you had Charlie's personal thoughts, which were black.
Yes.
And that was cool.
It really was.
Well done on that, because I definitely enjoyed that. And
I agree.
His narration during the scene was was really what put it all together for me.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it was such a really good touch. And again, I really thought the creativity of doing the different kind of colors and then old different shapes was really awesome. But yeah, so we again see the team of I'm not even sure what they are, bandits yet, but
yeah, a team of teens.
Yeah, a team of teens. They're running, and it seems like they're running from the cops. So it's like, okay, what are we up to now? But yeah, they're honestly just running, and they're, no, stop, and they're not going to stop. They just keep running for it. But they're honestly seems to be on a mission, and that's when we get to see some of their awesome abilities.
Yeah, see that's what I liked about this too, is it kind of looked like they were running from the cops,
right?
But which they are kind of, but they're also going to like an actual mission. They're on their way somewhere to take care of business.
They really were, and the big guy took care of business.
Yeah, so Tuck like rams through this door, like, oh, we'll use a Criminal Minds, Derek Morgan.
He Derek Morgan that door.
He Derek Morgan the hell out of that door.
Yeah, he kicked that door. We'll definitely put that up here because it was definitely one of my favorite pages.
And I really loved how. He had the door like curve around Tuck's foot.
Literally, it was so great. Yeah, and the people inside were like, "What? Like, what is going on here?" They were definitely taken back.
And one thing I can really appreciate too is the blacks were really black in this comic.
Yes.
And then the whites were, well, they're white. But the contrast to those, especially with the dialogue scenes.
I agree.
Like, put this one up that I'm talking about, Trevor.
Yes, it was amazing with the contrast because you could see almost they were in like the blackest of rooms.
Yeah. That's what I really liked about it. So, and then there's other scenes where it's not like that, and there's tons of background detail.
Yes, it's amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely put a lot of overlays on this one because, again, I just love the different style of art that was on here. I just thought it was really cool. But yeah, so we actually are going back to our first scene where we thought it was like the Criminal Minds episode where the poor guy's being tortured, and that's the room that they burst into. So thank goodness they get to town and they start beating up the bad guys, and they're really going at it.
It should be pointed out that Charlie knows the victim here.
He does. He obviously knows them because they're like, "Hey, we're taking care of business, But the cops again are completely taken back by this. They have no idea what's going on.
Now, here's what I'm wondering, because I think the cops just happened to stumble into this scene. They weren't going there. They were probably chasing.
Oh, they were chasing the
Vigis.
teens.
They were chasing the Vigis, and they just happened to stumble into this Criminal Minds episode.
Right, because what it seems like is that the Vigis are wanted in the city for being like good vigilantes, really. The cops don't like that they're doing their job better than them, so it's kind of
and better than the heroes.
I agree, and we'll get to that very shortly.
We'll be diving into that very shortly.
But yeah, so I think that was it, that the cops were just kind of running after them, like, oh, wanted, let's get him, and the Vigis were like, well, you know what? You'll be helpful in the end. You follow us. And they literally just followed them right to the crime scene.
Now, when Tuck kicks the door in, they're letting bullets fly. Not the Vigis, but the guys inside.
The bad guys.
And they almost end up hitting the cops that are behind them.
Oh, yeah. Cops are flying. Yeah. We're not expecting that at all. And that's what was a little funny.
And I really like what the little guy, Spaz. I really like what Spaz does here with the skateboard.
Oh, my God.
Like, he puts the skateboard on the ground. The guy steps on it. He pulls it back to trip the guy. And then, bam!
Yes, it was amazing. We'll definitely have to put that one up. One of my favorite scenes, because what a way to use what you have. I love it.
Yeah, he was actually one of my favorites though, because he was hilarious.
Really was. And the way he was trying to describe how he was doing everything, loved it. But one of the main bad guys, he was like, okay, you know what? The cops are going to be here. I'm going to duck out. I'm just going to leave.
Now, I want to point out here too that he's talking to himself while he's leaving, and he says, "Oh, Silk's going to be really mad about this." So this guy works for Silk.
Good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And so somehow, even it's 2 years later, but Silk is still a person in the city, and he's somehow connected to these guys who, for whatever reason, kidnapped this guy. I think they actually wanted information on the Vigis.
I think that's why they wanted him, and they thought that was the best way to get it. So he obviously must know them pretty well.
Yeah.
But so they luckily were able to get this guy and get him untied and help him out. Well, then the cops show up and they start yelling at the Vigis.
But what's funny though is the cops take the victim in.
Yes.
And when he does that, Charlie tells him it's okay, you can go, and hey, he says that he'll check in on his sister or something like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Mike arrives on scene, along with a guy that the Vigis had knocked out previously.
Yes.
And he just kind of throws him on the ground next to the cop there.
There you go. But yeah, so one of the cops is kind of just laying into Charlie, and it's just, like, oh, if I catch you one more time, and blah, blah. And that's when the captain, well, the previous cop, who is now the captain.
He's now the captain in 2 years.
One upgrade. But he tells Charlie, like, hey, let's go outside, let's go talk, and Charlie's like telling the rest of his little gang, like, hey, you guys go ahead. And they're like, yeah, we'll stick around with you.
Hey, because as it says in there, Bones always has his back.
That's true. It really does. He really does. But so Charlie's just talking to the captain here, and again, they're just going back and forth, and same problem as 2 years or 2 years earlier is he just doesn't think that the cops care about that area.
But he might have a point, though, if the cops were unaware of this dude getting, like, straight up tortured.
I agree.
Because, if I was in that situation, I would definitely, I don't care if you're a vigilante or a cop, you better get me before those tools are used.
I'm with you. Hey, at least someone's getting business.
Right? I'm just saying, Captain, I know you're angry, but I have a point here. You guys aren't really living up to expectation.
No kidding. Well, then on next page is later on, and I don't know if it's later that day or week, but it just says later, and we get to see our first superhero, which I'm like, oh my god, we even have superheroes? And this guy is named American Splendor.
Yeah, American Splendor.
I was like, what a name.
So the first time I read that, I read American Splenda. And I was like, huh.
He's saving America against diabetes,
he's
okay?
Like, he's the light superhero. But yeah, American Splendor.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, this city has everything and they still have all this crime. That's crazy. But his enemy that he's fighting is a crazy looking guy. And yeah, I had the hardest time trying to even say this guy's name.
Was he like alien or a robot?
So I think maybe a little bit of both. I kind of thought he was like Squid Head there for a minute. But yeah, he did seem to have a little robotic, tendencies. So it might be one of those Borg type of hybrids. You never know.
I really enjoyed the fight scene between the two of them.
Oh, it looked amazing. And actually, I loved how the alien looked because he really did have a lot of detail on him.
Oh, for sure. So what ends up happening, I believe, is the alien straps a bomb to the chest of American Splendor.
Yeah, he straps, I would assume it's some kind of bomb, but yeah, it's like a kaboom type of situation. And then all of a sudden it cuts to the captain, and he's actually talking to his actual son, Sean.
Yeah, and there's a panel where you see the explosion, and then it's on the pages of a comic book. So yes. Sean was reading what we were just looking at.
Right. So we were like, oh, okay, this is really cool. Well, then it seems like these are actual people, and the captain knows them, so his son is like super impressed. And they're actually going to a comic book convention. So you kind of see different cosplayers and everything kind of
and there's some guy cosplaying that alien too.
So it's like really cool. So you're like, oh, okay, this is different. It's like a real life type of. But then real life really does happen, and the superhero and the supervillain crash right there into the scene.
And this is where it really starts getting good.
Oh my gosh. Talk about suspenseful.
And I really love the crash scene here too.
It was really amazing. It looked like something out of Superman was crashing into the earth. It was awesome. But yeah, so of course Captain steps right into action. He starts calling for backup. He tells his son, hey, you gotta go find shelter. And he literally just runs in and starts helping people.
I'm telling you, this guy, like, he earns his paycheck.
He sure does. He needs a little bit of a bonus, I think. Because, yeah, the villain, the super villain and the superhero are literally just decking it out, and this guy's just saving people left and right.
See, and that's the problem with superheroes, is because they don't really understand that, okay, if you throw a super villain into a building, there's people in the building.
And around the building.
Yeah, okay, I mean, for those of y'all who are in Central Florida, you might be aware of a building called the Eyesore. Why can't superheroes throw into that building?
Please throw into that building.
but yeah, I mean, they like in the Avengers, they like leveled New York City
over and
How
over
many
again.
people died in that?
There's no way they're getting insurance.
No way. Okay, anyway, that's my little rant there.
It's true though. But yeah, so they are just going back and forth and just causing chaos.
Now, during the fight, though, what I really love here is Mike. He's out there like actively saving people.
Oh, definitely.
And then the Vigis arrive on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And
do the same thing.
Do the same thing. They start pulling people out and saving lives. Because literally there's just stuff falling all over the place.
All over the place. And that's when his own son is like, you know what? I gotta help too. I gotta help my dad out because this is just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, Sean goes running in and is like, Dad, let me help. And they actually are able to like get this guy from under, I guess it was a car.
Yeah, it had fallen up on top of his legs. And so yeah, they were able to get the guy out from under the car. Of course his legs were no more.
Well, at least he was alive at that point. But yeah, so it was just incredible that we were able to see that. And then again, it was just a whole dialogue of people running pretty much for their lives as this battle scene is going on.
And this was great panel work.
Oh, again, amazing. And I love the different dialogue boxes. Again, we'll put it up here. He showed the different internal and external dialogue.
Yeah, because there was internal dialogue of Sean, Mike's son, and internal dialogue of Charlie, the VG leader.
Yes, so it was just a whole different perspective every.
Yeah, that's what I like too, is because Sean kept referring. He's like, hey, look, yeah, this guy's a superhero. He's saving lives, but look, my dad has no power.
Yeah,
and he's like out here doing the exact same thing.
He's the actual hero.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, because at least he's not endangering other lives by saving lives.
And then, yeah, that's what we see. More chaos is happening, and it looks like another explosion, and he sees a mother and child are going to be hit.
By glass from the building.
So the captain literally just runs over to the mother and child to protect them. And you see that he's shielding them, but...
He takes the shards.
It's not good.
Yeah,
this final page is epic, and that poor kid is just, Dad, and
yeah,
you feel him.
And you see those shards of glass going out of his back too.
It's crazy, but he saved the mother and the child. But what I thought was ironic is that the superhero in the background was just holding the damsel in distress. I'm like, wow, you're so helpful. Thank you.
I noticed that too.
Thank you. And
well, look, if Mick Foley can survive this, he can.
That's wrestling. This is real life, okay?
Yeah, tell Mick Foley that.
But then we see, just at the end, it's to be continued. It's like, oh.
Well, the good thing is, I picked up 2 and 3. Well, actually, Matthew Foote was kind enough to actually gift me 2 and 3 for a copy of Dimensional Devastation #1.
That was awesome.
So we are well aware of what happens, but we're not going to give anything away.
No spoilers
You definitely got to pick up these books because, wow, this was a good one.
So good. And then you get to see kind of like a little summary on the back page here, which I thought was really cool. How he did that
I enjoyed that a lot too. So actually, I read that first before I read the comic. I don't know why. I just was flipping through it before I read it, and I saw this page in here. So I read that first, and then I read the comic. And yeah, it really set the tone for the whole book.
Yeah, I did the opposite, but I still thought it was awesome. I just thought it was a great idea. I wish more people would do that with certain things because some of the backgrounds you're like, what?
And we don't need a full background.
Oh no, but
You know.
again, it's just like a nice little summary of everything.
Yeah, just a nice little summary, and right next to that epic splash page.
Oh, amazing splash page! But again, then at the you get another special page, and you get to see like little sketches.
I always enjoyed the.
And again, another
art.
little behind the scenes, and I thought that was so cool.
Definitely. All right, well, are you ready to break down this biscuit?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off tonight. And so I'm glad you brought up the last page, the very last page. It has the bios of C. Matthew Foote and also Brian English.
Yes.
And so I read through Mr. Foote's here, and his story is very similar to Sean's story.
Oh.
So his dad is a cop, and he thought the same thing when his dad was, when he was a little kid. His dad was out there saving lives. He's like, hey, my dad's Batman.
That's true.
So the similarity from his story incorporated into that, I really like that. I like that a lot. And then I also like Brian English's bio here as well, because this one was actually quite funny. So apparently, if you catch him. And he's not making comics or spending time with his wife and kids and or making pancakes, then he needs to be using his creative time to be working on comics. So I do appreciate the view, Ryan.
That's funny.
Please leave a comment down below. Hey, you get back to work. What did you like about this comic?
Well, I did like all the personal touches to it. I thought that was really cool. Again, with the biography, the last page, the sketch. I just thought that was all really cool that you don't see in a lot of different comics. So I thought that was different.
I did too. I love the little sketch page at the end because that brought me back to some of the old comics as a kid, and they would put some of that art in there. And I really appreciate that because you kind of see where they were kind of developing some of the character art here.
I agree.
And that's always helpful. Now I put, I like the sketches in the back as well. I like the hero name American Splendor.
That was a funny name.
I also liked, this was at the end of that breakdown of the Vigis, but it says, Capes, crooks, and cops had their chance. We are defenders of the lost. We are guardians of the streets. We are the Vigis.
That was awesome.
That's pretty epic too.
It really was.
Yeah, I like that. So what did you really like about this book?
So what I really liked were the fight scenes. I thought they were all so well done, so detailed, and so dramatic. I just loved it. You know what I mean? It was really cool.
And with black and white, you have to work a lot with a little.
Yes, and again, that's what I really liked about it too, was the dot art. I've actually not seen that, and I just thought that was so cool.
It's very old school.
Yeah.
Like that dot shading.
Because it was almost like it reminded me of that retro that pop art.
Right.
It reminded me of that, and I'm a really big fan of that already, but I just thought that was so different because we've seen a lot of black and white, and I've loved all of them, but they're all for different reasons, and I think that is so cool, and this was just epic with the dots. I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that too. So I put that I really like that the part where Sean was reading a comic book and we thought it was actually part of that world.
Yes.
And then that panel that showed the comic. That was really good.
Oh, I was so thrown off. I was like, oh, okay, that actually wasn't real life. But then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, that is real life. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I thought that was really creative the way they did that.
I was dumbfounded. I was like, wow, oh wait, that was just a comment. But then it actually came true. Like the actual, and the same characters.
I know, and he's like, oh no, I know these people.
Yeah, so it all kind of like meshed together at the end, and you're like, oh wow, so they make comics of actual heroes that are in the same world.
Yes, I thought that was great.
I put that I really liked Mike and Charlie's relationship.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I thought that was very different.
Because he obviously the captain saw him as kind of a son, sort of. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was about the same age as Sean.
And had a lot of similarities in personality-wise.
But I think Charlie actually does trust him. Otherwise, why would he go off and talk to him alone?
I agree. No, I think out of everyone, especially out of all cops, he thinks that, no, he's actually one of the good guys.
Right.
And that he actually does help more than the mass of them all.
Right. So I also put, when we were talking about the alien robot thing, to put the bomb
Yeah.
on American Splinter's chest. So I really like that splash page
Yes.
of the alien coming down and the explosion above them.
It was really cool looking. Because, again, just all the detail, it was just impressive. You didn't know what was going on. You're like, oh my God, did he actually survive that?
Right?
Because, wow. No, and that's, again, just the art was just amazing with the detail it was able to create. But one of the things I actually really liked about it was the teens themselves. I just loved their hair, their clothes. I just thought they looked really cool.
Yeah, because you can really never go wrong with a white shirt and black tie.
I was kind of thinking more of the mohawks.
It's classic. Because you're like, that guy means business. He's got that. Hey, is he government?
That's what I think.
Is he? I don't know.
But for a kid being on the street, he does dress well.
He does.
I agree.
Yeah, it's
nice.
He's putting in the work.
He really is. But what I also really liked about the comic was, again, the different bubbles. I loved that he had square for the internal and round for the external, and the different shades for different people. I just thought that was a really great
And it was
way.
very easy to understand.
Oh, completely.
And it had a very good flow to it as well.
It really was. It was not something you're like, okay, wait, who's talking? What are we doing? It was just really clever done. I was really impressed.
And the way that he actually connected the different speech bubbles together when people are dialoguing between each other, I really like that too.
It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, the paneling and the lettering were spot on in this one.
It really was.
Okay, so what did you love about this biscuit?
Well, I actually love that the teens did not have any powers. That they were actually just regular kids, but man, they kicked ass. Like they were really, they were taking names. They didn't hold punches. They were just
they definitely
business.
didn't hold punches.
Yeah, they were just taking care of business.
Yeah,
and I absolutely
all
love
of them had their. Well, they didn't have powers, but they all had their set of abilities.
Right, but it's like you had that superhero, American Splendor. He obviously has like super abilities, and I feel like
he was also portrayed as kind of a jerk, though.
Well, usually they are if you don't think about it. Another Superman. But,
yeah.
But no, even if you think with Charlie and his little group of people, they're helping people that it seems no one else wants to. Even the superhero, even the cops. It's like a whole like bad area. They're like, oh.
Hey, American Splendor did save that blonde.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I assume she's blonde. It's black and white.
It can only be blonde, right?
I put that I love Charlie's narrative boxes. Like his vision of what was going on in his head really captivated me.
I agree, because you really can't help but not agree with him. He really had a lot of good points, so you really saw his side of it and kind of empathized with him.
I actually loved Spaz's skateboard takedown.
That was epic. I could so see that. Yeah. I thought that was great.
Yeah, a good line, good takedown, and it didn't injure a skateboard.
And very effective.
Very effective.
So see that working.
So true.
What I also really loved was the captain himself. I just thought, again, what another great character. He really just signifies what I really think a cop should be. He just is always just putting his life on the line, trying to save anyone and everyone that he could.
This guy's brave, too, because he was not on duty. He could have just been like, no, son,
that's
get out of
your
here.
problem. Yeah, like, you're going to go. No, he literally stepped right into action, and yeah, truly, what a true hero.
And you know what? He didn't yell at his son when his son ran over to help him with the dude with the legs.
Right. He's like, all right, you know what? Let's get this.
He's like,
let's
I
get
do
this
need
done.
help. I mean,
Yeah.
he sits there and argues with him. The guy's going to obviously die.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I really like that character. I love that character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. So I loved when Mike saved Charlie at the beginning.
Yes, I thought that was real. I really liked the beginning, actually, just that little glimpse into the past for the both of them. I think it really signified why Charlie trusted him. So,
and you really see Charlie mature, you know, from the skull shirt to the, you know, like he's a working man.
I'm trying to be dapper now. You know what though? I also really love that it almost seems like they were making fun of superheroes in this.
Yeah, kind of like a kind of mystery men kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I really like that because even at that last page where he's sitting there with the woman, you know, it was so like, wow, you've been so helpful.
And even though he could have saved that woman and baby and taken that in the back and not even felt it.
And probably still save that other woman, but no, you're probably getting kisses and hugs and kissing babies and everything else. And
that was awesome.
I thought that was so funny because I'm like, that is perfect.
I put that I love Silk because he reminded me of a Bond villain.
Oh,
especially
okay.
when he had that jewel and he's like, "That's okay, we have this."
Yeah, we've got another.
I'm like, okay, is that a jewel? Is it a rock? Is he gonna put that in his eye socket?
Eye socket? No, I think that's gonna be like one of those Indiana Jones things, like a stone that you put into something that's open. I guess we'll find out in part 2.
King Kong's kidney stone, maybe.
I think that'd be a lot bigger if it's King Kong. Just saying.
Let's see, what else do I have on here? Oh, so, you know, I actually really just love the overall story of this one.
Yes. I loved not only the story, but kind of like the backstory of it all, because it kind of shows you that, one, you don't have to have superpowers to actually be a hero. Or
like $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly, Batman.
So that was some things that I like. Now, I also wanted to, we talked about the Vigis 2 and 3, so we have them right here. We'll overlay the covers there. We'll put all of the link to these down below. Definitely pick them up and let them know Joshua Amanda sent you. But it's also, you really need to read these because 2 and 3, it really ramps up quite a bit.
Oh my gosh. And again, the covers are amazing. I just love the art in this. It's so cool.
And C. Matthew Foote was such a great guy.
He really was, yeah.
And I really liked the interview we got with him. And they did the Ancient City book too, right?
Oh, I think you're right. Yes, the one that was dedicated right to Ancient City where it had the fort and everything on the front.
Yeah, so
awesome.
We'll be reviewing that one too. I've already read it, and I kind of like it quite a bit because we're familiar with Ancient City and we're familiar with the characters there. So that was a fun one.
It was definitely fun.
All right, so do you have anything you want to add this evening?
No, just again, another super fun read. I just love being able to see all the different art that we were able to come across and all the stories that we read. It's been a lot of fun. So
definitely check out all the links below. Pick up your VG issues. Let C. Matthew Foote and Ryan English know how much you like their work. Let them know Joshua Amanda sent you. So between the known and the unknown lies the man. I'll see you next time.